Hello everyone, Argsy here. Welcome along to a new series on Medicine Creek. We're up here at the co-op. We've just signed a contract for the next 3 seasons. We have a contract for 20,000 bushels of corn per season and 10,000 bushels of soybeans. So that is setting us up quite nicely. It's always nice to have that sort of certainty around someone going to buy your product. So the challenge now is to make sure we can supply. And that is what this series is going to be about. It's going to be supplying that quantity to the co-op over the next 3 seasons. Now, I've wanted to play on Medicine Creek for a while. I've heard some fantastic things about it, so I'm really looking forward to delving into it a little bit further. So we're going to head down the road here, head down to our yard, and I'll go through a little bit, explain a little bit about the equipment and what land we own and how we're going to go about trying to achieve these targets. Now, I've done a rough calculation. I think I'm going to be alright, but actually I don't know. I don't know whether I've been too conservative or whether I've overestimated what our yields might be. We are running seasons, obviously, and precision farming, which will have a bearing on those, such as crop rotation and obviously the yield performance from each field. So, let's get down to the yard and have a bit more of a chat about it. So here we are getting pulled into the yard. For those of you who are familiar with Medicine Creek, you'll probably know exactly where we are just from the yard layout. It is all as per the original map. I haven't changed anything or added anything. But for those who aren't familiar, we'll get parked in here, we'll take a look at where we are and have a look at the fields and things like that. So just taking a look here at the map, you can see we are down here, sort of on the right hand side of the map. This is our yard, and if I just bring up the fields, you'll see there. So our yard area we own, quite a large area, a lot of green space, grass space and that around. Now we own these 3 fields over the road, 22, 23 and 26. As well as a couple further away. Well, when I say own, I'll use that term loosely. Field 10 we do own. However, field 35 is currently leased, and we only have that lease for this season. Which does mean that we're going to have to find some more land to buy at the end of the season. So we're going to have to make enough money to be able to buy some more land or potentially find another lease to be able to make sure the land we lose there can be replaced. Those are our 5 main fields we will be farming. Now if we just take a look here at precision farming, a little bit different on this map to some of the others. The guys who made it have used the soil types to actually define the yield performance of each field based on its surroundings. These fields over here obviously have a lot of trees in that around them, a lot of end-rows, some depressions and the like. So they've used the lower performing soils such as the loamy sand around the edges to reduce the yield on end-rows and headlands, whereas a field over here such as 35 has a high proportion of loam soils with just the border around there of the low producing loamy sands. So that is their way of saying a field's performance varies depending whether you're in the middle of the field or on the edge. And you can see that if we just jump back onto the screen. If I click on field 35, you can see it has a expected yield potential of 104%, whereas a field such as 26 over here is actually 88%. So quite a big difference, and obviously that yield potential, because of the soil distribution, is going to have an impact on our ability to meet those targets. So just another little thing to consider, and quite a unique way to have integrated precision farming into this map. So I'm looking forward to trying that out and seeing what impact that has. So obviously the other consideration we have to have is meeting our targets. Now crop rotation will come into that in some regards. We have a look here, corn soybeans rotation, we obviously get a yield bonus on the corn. Soybeans is a very hard one I've found to try and really boost the performance unless you go to fallow. So we went to fallow land and left a field unharvested for a year or unplanted for a year. It obviously provides a boost to both crops, but we really can't afford to leave a field out of action. So we've got a couple of options. Obviously corn soybean rotation, corn on corn again. We're going to need more ground for corn than we are for soybeans to meet those targets, and possibly looking at a corn soybeans rotation, or I did even wonder about trying to squeeze in a winter crop, perhaps getting a wheat in between the corn and soybeans. But again, really no benefit to doing that because the wheat and soybeans are both the same as if we just stayed on a corn soybean rotation. So all something to consider as we work our way through this. So with all of that out of the way, let's go and take a look at what's in the shed. So in here we have all our planting and crop protection equipment. We have two planters, both the Kinsey 3600s. One is a 12-row planter, and we've also got a 16-row planter. Now obviously the 12-row planter hooked up there to the 7800, which has the side tanks there. And over this side, we are going to use the 8RX on the 16-row planter. So looking forward to getting those out into the field. Over here we have the J&M Speed Tender. Now this is a reasonably new mod that was released. Obviously works with Pro boxes, so you can put the boxes on top. So I'm looking forward to trying that out as well and using that to be able to resupply in the fields. Hiding over the other side here, rather nice looking Case Trident sprayer, and we will be using that to deal with any weeds that we might get, just to make sure we can maximize our yield off the fields. Another tractor, we have a 8370 RT, so that will be used for tillage, possibly for pulling a grain cart when we get out into the fields. And then our big horsepower provided by the 9R. So this will be predominantly used for tillage, for any deep ripping or anything like that we might need to do. We've got a telehandler, the Liebherr telehandler sitting in there. We'll need that for loading and unloading the Pro boxes, as well as if we ever need to remove the spray box off the back of the Trident, we can do that. And every farm needs a fuel trailer, so there it is, we have that Meridian. So taking a look here at our main tillage equipment, on the right there is a Landau 2131 plough, 9.5 metres wide. Fortunately none of our fields currently have a ploughed state on them. Obviously if we did, we'd be wanting to take that off as quickly as possible to maximise our yields, but certainly something to consider whether that will be an issue post corn each year. But I may even go and do that anyhow. We do need to boost the lime pH levels on all the fields, so we'll be getting some lime spread, and may look to rip that into the ground, get it mixed into the soil before we plant, rather than planting directly into that limed ground. And then over here we've got another Landau that's a 9650 15 metre wide cultivator for our general tillage, and then the Kinsey Mark Till 401, which is a 12 metre wide cultivator disc, which will provide a ploughed state to the fields. So those are our three main pieces of equipment. We've got a couple of trailers here, the Timpty super hoppers, which we'll be using to get the grain from the fields into our silos before we deliver it to the co-op. Speaking of the silos, we have a grain dryer here for the corn, so we will be making the most of that and providing dried corn to the co-op as part of the contract. But plenty of storage there. I don't think we're going to get close to filling any of those bins. Looking forward to getting into those, but let's have a look in this shed to see what we have got to get that all done. So we've got a selection of trucks in here. On the right is a Mack Pinnacle fertilizer spreader, lime spreader, so we'll be using that very soon to get some lime applied. In the centre here we've got two matching Mack, again Pinnacles semis, white one there, there's a blue one on the other side of the dump truck, and then we've got the black truck here, the black Mack with the dump bed on the back as well. Moving through to have a look at the combines, pair of S780 John Deere's, both looking very nice with the updated 3D tracks. Now those really have, on a number of different pieces of equipment, have really lifted the game. I think if we turn around here, we went for the wheels on the 1300 this time rather than the tracks. But you would have seen on other series, we've used the track version of this grain cart, and they look fantastic too. For the corn, we've got a pair of 16-row headers with the stalk stompers there on the back, and over on the other side a pair of 45-foot draper headers with the air system on the front for the soybeans. So a pretty well set up organisation already. Just a couple more bits of equipment we've got floating around. We've got the Westfield auger here, which we are going to use very soon as well for getting some lime into the spreader. We'll be resupplying out into the field. And then around the back of the shed here we have our spray trailer. So this is our Perma's modding mixing trailer, which is a fantastic mod. We'll be using that for when we need to get some herbicide applied. And over here, our cone bottom trailer, we're going to be using this to resupply the planters in tandem with the seed tender out in the field. So this will be to take our liquid fertilizer that both those planters can apply. So just one other thing worth pointing out, we're obviously on day one of spring. We are playing on 6-day seasons and we're starting out with just under $40,000. Obviously we are going to need to be buying a lot of seed and fertilizer. That all has to come out of that, so I expect we are going to have to be borrowing some money and hoping that our first crops, our first season through, will provide some opportunity to repay that and possibly help us with looking at our field options for next season, depending on how the fields that we do have yield and how close we get to our target in the first season. So that's a very brief overview, a very brief tour of our equipment and what I'm aiming to achieve in this series. We're expecting a delivery at about 10 o'clock from the co-op for some lime, so nothing left to do but go and get the spreader out, go and get the dump truck out and get those all ready to be filled up and head out to the fields. So they're a little bit late, it's a bit after 10, but the co-op have arrived. They've got the Meridian tender wagon there, getting some lime, obviously full already, into the spreader there. So we'll just get this pulled forward. And with the spreader out of the way, we can get, hopefully, the bulk of the lime put in here. So there we go, we are getting this filled up now as well. I believe we have just short of 30 tonne. Very good prices at the co-op though, it was only $1,300 delivered. There is some buy silos down at each of the co-ops, the 3 co-ops around the map that we are making use of and using this co-op supplied truck to get it all transported here. So we'll just let this fill up, let the co-op head off and we'll make our way up to the field. In fact, there we go, all done. So we'll see you over the road. I think we will start on the closest fields here and work our way across to the fields on the other side of the map. So we go, we've got the other truck and the auger there following behind us using follow me. We will get driven up here, up to the road. We should be able to take a right hand turn and head down the road towards fields 22, 23 and 26. Make a start getting some lime applied to those and get those pH levels all nicely boosted up. This is field number 26 just up here on our left, so we will get turned in here. Our indicators on, no traffic coming towards us. Now hopefully we will be able to get this field all spread without needing to top up, so we might get the worker to follow us in here, but we might take them down to the other field and worry about filling up once we get down to there. So we're all set up here in the field. We've actually parked the truck over in the grass field on the other side, just in case we did run out. I'm not sure quite how far this lime is going to go. We do have automatic application rate turned on, so if we just bring up the help menu, we will see there that we are not having to apply too much lime, which is good. About 3.5 tonnes per hectare at the moment, jumping around between that and 2.5. And if we bring up the mini-map, we should be able to see those colours there going up on most of the field, not quite on all of it. So we will just make our way around this field. I think this is one of the smallest of the 5 fields we have, but most intrigued by the shapes. These are very interesting fields, which are going to be both challenging and interesting to work in. I'm actually quite looking forward to getting in for some tillage, and also once we get to planting, harvesting, all of those fun bits and pieces. But as we are going around, we are going to have a think about how we're going to meet our goals, take a bit of a punt on what our expected yields might be. I'm working on about 200 bushels an acre for corn, and I'm hoping for about 60 bushels an acre for the soybeans. So using those figures, I will try and determine which fields we should be using for what to try and meet our target yields. But let's just box on with this. I might, in this field, just finish this on a bit of a time lapse. We actually used up 50% of our lime already. I think we might be needing a few more trips from the co-op. Like I said, fortunately, not too expensive. But we'll put this on a bit of a time lapse and carry on with getting this field finished, getting the spreader filled up and into the next one. Well, as it turns out, we didn't even make it around the field once, which is a little bit concerning. So, fortunately we did leave the truck here. However, it does mean we are probably going to get through our lime in quite quick fashion. So I'll put it in an order to the co-op and try and see if they can meet us down at the other fields. Possibly down there at, is that 22 and 23? And they can keep on bringing out some loads and we'll be able to put them into the back of the truck there as we go. But let's jump out and we'll get this auger all set up and get some lime back into that spreader. Well, it seems we have a little bit of a problem with our auger. Even though I had tested it, it would dump lime into the back of the dump truck when I tried it straight out of the tender wagon that the co-op had. But for whatever reason, you can see it tipping there into the auger, but it will not go into the spreader. That's a bit of a shame. I was actually quite looking forward to trying to resupply in this way, but I guess we're just going to have to default back to using the co-op with their supply truck and just filling up out of the field. So not quite the ideal start that I had hoped for. Good intentions and all, but just to show it doesn't always work out the way we wanted to, and plans sometimes have to change. So we are very fortunate though that we've got a supportive co-op around, and they are not too far away with another load of material ready to get us resupplied. And finally we are getting some more lime into the spreader. So good to see that the co-op were able to come out here and leave the truck set up for us to load straight from. Does mean we'll get to a point where we aren't able to carry on. We'll be waiting for them to get back here. It is quite a long fill out of those tanks. Just wait for this last car. We should be good to get across there now. But that might mean we might just take the opportunity to do these 2 or 3 fields down here today and then make a start on some tillage before we head over to the fields on the other side and do the same again there. We'll just pick up where we left off and carry on getting this lime applied. First field here is finished. We're going to run down the road and make a start in the next one. The co-op driver will come down and park up down here somewhere. I think there's probably only enough for one more spreader load in there anyhow. But we'll just hang a left in here, I do believe, which should give us access through the back to field number 23. Just actually might just bring up the bigger mini map just to double check. Yes, there we are. You can see 23 coming through in the back here. So we'll make a start on that. There's a nice lot of space in there to be able to set up the auger wagon or the supply tender. So we'll carry on moving around here and keep getting this lime applied. But I do like this truck. It is a good spreader, a nice wide width on it, and it goes at a reasonable speed as well, so not taking too long to get these done. Obviously the downside, or not so much a downside, but just part of precision farming, is the lime rate is a little bit higher than if you were, say, using the variable spray rate just on a regular game save without precision farming. Just takes a little bit longer, but not too much longer. But as you can see, this field is certainly already quite a bit bigger than the one we were just in, so we'll carry on going with the time lapse and get this one done. And then while we're waiting for the co-op to come back, we might go and get the 9R out and possibly set that up on one of the tillage machines. So we're going to get backed up here in the 9R to the Landau 9650. This is the 15 metre cultivator we have. So obviously is the largest of our 3 ploughs and cultivators. So hopefully we'll cover the most ground and get things as close as ready to planting as they can be. So I'm quite looking forward to this. I have not used the 9R yet. This is the first time I've had the opportunity to use it. So quite keen to see how it goes on pulling something of this size. Fortunately, we didn't come across any traffic when we were travelling down here because we don't have much space. We are well and truly riding on the verge of the road. And we would not have wanted anything to have either caught up with us or been coming in the opposite direction. Something I am liking about this map, they have the crop destruction feature, the stubble included, which is quite nice. You can see there where we have driven in and around on the corn stalks. It is just a nice little effect that it shows the stubble that's in here being squashed down a little bit by the vehicles. So we'll get this unfolded. Just got the notification that the truck has made it down to the supply point at the co-op, so we will make sure that is filling, and then we'll make a start on getting this field turned over, ready for planting. With that all unfolded, all that should be needed is to lower it into the ground. There it is, and we will slowly start working our way around the edge of the field. Obviously want to get as close to the edge there as we can. It looks pretty good, and then run along this fence line. There we go. It's not too bad. That is handling that pretty comfortably, I would say. Now, as I said earlier, we do have rocky fields enabled. I haven't tested the rock box. I don't know if it has a collision on it where we can actually put things in the front of it. It'd be great if we can, and we certainly, when we come across any rocks, we'll give it a go and see if it is functioning or not. There we go, we've just had our first rock pop up there, so let's give it a try, see if we can pick this up close enough to it. There we go. Let's go and have a look and see what happens if we put it in this rock box, if it will actually support anything or whether it's just going to disappear. No collision on the bottom. Well, that's unfortunate. Would have been a fantastic if we had been able to use that. Just get that rock picked up. We'll just move this over to the side here. We'll probably lose it for later, but that's not to worry. So I think nothing else left after hitting that. Look at that damage it just did. That rock just did 100% damage to our plough, which is not at all ideal because one, it's slowing us down, and two, it costs us each time we want to repair it, and like I said earlier, we don't want to be spending money all the time. So I might just have to take a quick look into the settings for rocky fields and see if that's something in the settings which is causing that, or something with this plough, because we don't want to be having to fork out for an expensive repair bill every time we hit a rock. So just coming up on our first lap of this field, things have gone reasonably well. We've hit a couple of rocks. We obviously had a little bit of issues with the damage those rocks were causing, which was not ideal, but seems to be, as long as you don't hit them again, and they do pass through, there was no damage. I've hit a couple since, and it hasn't caused any wear on the cultivator at all. But we're just going to stop there. I'm going to get one of the guys to come and take over from me. The co-op are back down with the spreader, and I do want to at least get that second field completed. So we'll get a worker into this, we'll go and jump back into that, and we might put together a little bit of montage of these two working and work towards getting this all done, and then having a big tilt at a whole lot more work in the next episode. Getting the last little piece of this field finished, and that will be 2 fields done now. Now the worker has finished in the other field with the cultivation, so they were going to bring the 9R over and get ready to make a start in this field, and I believe the co-op have been down and grabbed another load of lime, so they will be all ready. So we're going to be all set up, get going into this field over here. Looks like it had soybeans in it previously, just from the colour of the stubble, so we will be getting into there, but we're going to save that until the next episode. I think we've done enough for today, made a good start on things, but we will certainly be aiming to get everything knocked out, all the lime applied, and our tillage underway. So we may even looking at getting the 8RT set up and running in one of the fields, or taking it over to one of the other ones. There we go, we've got the supply truck there and the tractor there as well. So we will just pull in under here and get topped up, all ready to go the next time. Just going to have to hop out. One of the little bugs sometimes is you need to be in the truck for the all good to go. So there we go, it is unloading now into the lime spreader. So we're going to leave things there. That is getting mighty dirty, but it means it's doing work, which is good. And we've got the 9R here all ready to go for next time. So I hope you've enjoyed that. It's nice to make a start on our new new series, and I'm hoping to get this one flying pretty quickly. We're only 5 or so weeks away from FS22, so this could be one that leads us into there and might carry on for a little bit afterwards. We'll just see how things go. But as always, thank you all very much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed that, and I will catch you in the next one.